A lot of concern came out when this was first announced, and I believe it affected some of the newsworthy attacks we saw, that they weren't really aware of how they happened, or they didn't release enough information about in late November and early December and ongoing, right? But it really came out as a recognized vulnerability on November 24th. Obviously, it was around a lot longer before then, but this is when somebody was publicized the fact it was there, told somebody about it. Had a lot to do with Minecraft, to be honest. Somebody saw it in Minecraft and was able to report it. And then on December 1st, the first exploit was reported. That doesn't mean that was the first incident, it's just that's the time frame. And the reason we need to know these time frames is because when you start thinking about what we have that was vulnerable, we can understand and look back with a more careful eye at those kind of things.
Absolutely.
December 2nd, first Cisco exploit against Cisco. And then the first patch didn't come out to December 9th. And unfortunately, the first patch was vulnerable to a different kind of vulnerability, but still vulnerable. So December 10th is when nation states were recognized on the attack. So we saw a lot more happening on a global scale, if you like. And then December 11th, the Mirai botnet activity was then engaged to do this, right? Because we're talking about scanning, we're talking about finding the vulnerabilities, and oftentimes they would then sell those lists on the dark web, right? Which is the internet. So same place. December 13th, CISA came out with an advisory, and patch 2 came out. On December 14th, patch 3, because there was a problem with patch 2. And I think currently on December 28th, the 5th version, because there was one that was kind of in there in the immediate steps that didn't really do as much as they had hoped, came out with the 5th patch. Now, what the patch does is when you do all of the patches and you get up to 2.17.1, you're fairly secure on that particular device. Our concern is we don't know which other devices may be in your network that aren't patched. So we really want to expand our awareness to make sure we're covering them all.
Well, and then there's another problem. You may have, like anyone familiar with Linux at all, you have dependencies, you have libraries that are required to run the application you actually care about, right? Well, you may actually have multiple versions of Log4j on the same system. That's also possible because, especially if you're running particular installers like Snap, which install applications self-contained, they don't actually use operating system level libraries, so there's no shared library. It actually downloads fixed versions of libraries in with it. So you could actually have multiple versions of Log4j on your system. So you really have to be thorough.
Yeah, really thorough, I think is the point here. So, you know, our teams and our RD tax resources really have to be aware of this. Now, we're still talking about the problem. We're going to make some suggestions and some ways to discover this and attack it. So don't fear, be aware at this point, and that's really the goal here.